Welcome, my name is Pastor Dwayne. I'm one of the pastors here at Cathedral of the Rockies, and we're working on what are those practices, what are those things that Jesus did in his life that allowed him to connect with God and to push back the challenges of the world. Our world is busy, fast, hurried, and we're trying to say, what does it look like to have the antidote to that? So today we're going to practice Sabbath. You might remember that this is one of the commandments, actually. I remember early in my life when I didn't take a day off. I was working at the church, I was working at the seminary, and a mentor friend said to me, "So you just choose to break the 10 Commandments?" All right, he had my attention. What does it mean to have a Sabbath? There are a couple words I want to give you when you think of Sabbath. Stop, rest, delight, and even this word, resist. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Stop, rest, delight, resist. And we probably would add worship. Not resist worship, but resist. I'll get to each one. So stop, we're stopping the routine, the busyness of our life. We're resting. What is it that gives you rest? We're delighting. What gives us delight? We're resisting the pushes of this world, and we're worshiping God who's created us. So classically, one of the things that was done, Sabbath normally for most Jewish followers begins, in the evening as the sun sets, and the sun sets early this time of year, and it begins with the lighting of a candle. So I encourage you, whether you're going to take 24 hours or whether you're going to take 2 hours, start where you can. But what if you started with something intentional? Light a candle. Maybe even at dinner time, light a candle. Light a candle at the beginning. Name it Sabbath. That might mean you set your phone aside, maybe even turn it off for a brief moment. Maybe again, you shut off some of the other noises that you can control in your world. Sabbath's also a time where the adults in the family usually take a moment to pronounce some blessings. Literally, if you got kids or grandkids, if you got a spouse or you got someone in your life that means something to you, you speak into that. You tell them that they matter to you. That's something you noticed in them this week, or maybe a way you're praying for them. You announce it to them. But it's also a place where you need to focus a little bit on you. What brings you rest? In the classic Sabbath stories of our friends from the Jewish faith, usually there's a glass of wine. If that's something you do that helps you kind of settle into the day, have a glass of wine, or maybe just a cup of coffee if that's better. And again, just enjoy the moment. Sabbath is for us, Jesus said. Sometimes we get hung up in the specific things. Don't make a list that you got to complete to have a good Sabbath. Do the things that allow you to experience the presence of God, to rest. Sometimes people tell a joke on the Sabbath. That's part of it. I tend to send my kids a dad joke every week. I just Google dad jokes, pick one, and send it to them as a way to just remind them to laugh at the silliness of life. I try to remind them they matter to me. You might take a moment in this too and say, what's the connection I need to make with God today? Is there a concern that's too big for my life that I need to just place in God's hands? Have I made worship a priority this week? And will we turn on online worship, or will we show up in in-person worship and say, God, we want to give you our best giving, our best singing, our best presence, our best openness to what you want to do in us? What if you and I made Sabbath a practice? There's a recent study that came out, and I'll get you the details on this. They studied the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And they found out folks in the Sabbath who practice Sabbath on Saturday, they found that folks who practice Sabbath regularly live 10 years longer on average. Can you imagine? Because they take a day, they worship, they rest, they resist, they renew. Maybe you and I could add to our life if we begin to practice Sabbath.